Yo, what up, Blackish fam? I hope all is well in your corner of the world. We're continuing to dive into Coast Contra. They got their album, and my dog just, what you doing? Damn, we got his ass all out. But yeah, we're going to continue diving into Coast Contra. This is from their album, Apartment 505. This is one of their tracks called Legacy. Man, love the wordplay, love what the energy these cats bring. Definitely good for hip hop, and just really appreciating getting into these breakdowns. It might be just a 4 minute song, but by the time you extract everything they're trying to say, it's like we can get 20, 30 minute conversations going with this. So, really excited to see what they bring with this one, Legacy. Um, there wasn't a video with this one, so I don't expect the lyrics. So, we're going to have to use our minds, right? Go old school with it. Let's check it out. Legacy.
They offer pussy and power. They offer Gucci and fame. They think I'm new to this money. They think I'm new to this game. They wanna see us in whips. They wanna see us in chains. Legacy, legacy, legacy. They tryna ruin the
Sounds
name.
like this is just a chorus.
Legacy, legacy. They tryna ruin the name. Legacy, legacy, legacy. They tryna ruin the name. They offer pussy and power. They offer Gucci and fame. Legacy, legacy, legacy. Make them remember the name. Phase one, we was unfazed. Ain't no backlash for the free slaves. Ancestors plotting in the grave, so the whip chains come custom made.
Oh, again, the wordplay. We got to get to it. I wanted to let it ride when they were talking about whips and chains, right? But he went right into it. I believe this is the cat Raz, if I'm not mistaken. Still getting to know their names, but he said phase one, we were unfazed, right? But then he said, ain't no backlash for the free slaves, right? He's referring to backlashings. These are slaves that are being whipped by an overseer, right? And free slaves don't get backlashings anymore, at least not on the regular. They were still, even though you were considered free, you were still dealt a world of bullshit out there, but it wouldn't be the constant whipping that you would get from your overseer, right? So, right.
For the free slaves, ancestors plotting in the grave, so the whip chains come
Just bar to bar to bar, right? Ancestors plotting in the graves, right? A burial plot is sometimes referred to as a grave plot or a funeral plot, but it's a spot where your body is laid to rest in the ground. But they could be plotting in their graves like you're plotting a scheme, right?
Legacy, legacy, legacy. Make them remember the name. Phase one, we was unfazed. Ain't no backlash for the free slaves. Ancestors plotting in the grave, so the whip chains come custom made.
Again, referencing the whips like cars, but also the whip like the whip you would get from your overseer. We were just referencing, right? And chains like Jacob the jeweler, your Jesus piece, right? But also whips and chains that can control you like they did in slavery.
Free slaves, ancestors plotting in the grave, so the whip chains come custom made. Picking cotton under sun rays, niggas sweating bullets out of
Picking cotton under sun rays. Again, he's referencing slavery, right? And you always hear the reference of picking cotton, and people, "Oh, at least they had jobs. What else would they have done?" And all that. Man, you don't understand what picking cotton is like, right? Picking cotton is normally done when it's extremely warm, but it's dirty, it's back-breaking, monotonous work, right? It's not something that there's, think about where cotton is harvested, right? You're normally talking about late August, but when you're talking about the deep South, temperatures are still extremely hot. My uncle who helped raise me he's from Mississippi. He actually experienced picking cotton as well. But I mean, you're talking about 90s, 80s. I mean, you're picking cotton from sunrise to sunset. You're talking about like what could be a 12 or 13 hour workday, right? And when you pick cotton, you have to pull the white fluffy part, and you have to separate that from what's called the ball, right? And there's very sharp ends on that. And keep in mind, a cotton plant, on average, they're less than about 3 feet high. So you're stooping that entire time to pick cotton. And then you had to carry these sacks to actually hold the cotton that you picked. So, I mean, you think about that, and it's just It's just a bad situation on multiple fronts, right?
So the whip chains come custom made. Picking cotton under sun rays. Niggas sweating bullets out of 12 gauge. Plantation turn to shooting range. Slave masters on a shooting range.
Woo! Talking about slave masters and such, right? But there's wordplay there. Sweating bullets. Again, this is back-breaking work, so you're sweating, like the term sweating bullets. But he said bullets out of a 12 gauge. That's a 12 gauge shotgun. He's referenced plantation a few times. I think most people know what a plantation is, but it's an estate, right? Don't think of it as a farm, but I guess that could be a good way to think about it. But you're normally looking at like coffee, sugar, tobacco, but they're normally these whatever they're working on. It's cultivated by like resident labor, and of course, shooting slave masters. I think we can all get what he's talking about, or having them in range, right? But also the wordplay of like a gun range, but also they're in range to get shot. And I hear about this a lot, especially from the younger generation, especially after Kanye's dumb, what did he say? Slaves had a choice. It's like, yeah, no, bro. To an extent, but what comes when you make that choice is probably death, right? There was a lot of rebellions during slavery. Like most people are familiar with Nat Turner's rebellion, right? This was early 1800s. And Nat Turner, this was a deeply religious guy. And supposedly he had this vision that really meant killing his slave master. So, he got his accomplices and they went house to house. There was about 70 slaves, and they killed over 50 white overseers with clubs and knives and muskets, and they were eventually captured and executed by the state. But this is actually, it's if you want to read more about it, it's called Nat Turner's Revolt. You can get a lot of information about what actually happened, but as many as 200 slaves were eventually killed because of what they did. Right? A lot of people thought that intelligence was the main factor that led that revolt. So multiple states then started passing laws that really made it illegal to teach anybody who was black to read or write. There's a lot of history in that, and a lot of history with slavery that's well worth researching. Again, that's Nat Turner's Revolt. Let's get back into it.
So the whip chains come custom made. Picking cotton under sun rays. Niggas sweating bullets out of 12 gauge. Plantation turn to shooting range. Slave masters on a shooting range. Living legend, I'm a die legend with my honor. Doing shit like when you spit like this nice, nigga, you escape karma. We my niggas is some real rhymers. I say the greatest is Coach Contra, it might be. Living legend, yeah, I might be. Ahead of the game, I might be. Wake up, blessed up, hopped out, dripped up, paid dues, time's up, body bag zipped up, rap God prayed up, long night stayed up, whole squad came up, hip hop saved us. Just the life I chose. 505, we slept inside the cold, had to learn to cook without the stove. Only thing that kept us out.
Yo, as he's talking about hard times, right? We slept inside the cold. And I think that's a reference to their album. It's called Apartment 505, where there's a lot of history. But for those who might not be from the hood, might not be from the inner city, these are common occurrences, right? Where you get your utilities shut off and you got kids. Like, life goes on, and sometimes you get that bill in the mail, and if you just can't do it, you just can't do it. So what do, right? Well, think about it, right? If you don't have heat, you might still have electric, right? So what do? You microwave your food if you're able to, or you use an electric hot plate. Electric hot plate will allow you to still cook. That if you don't have heat, you can also use it to heat up water for a bucket or to pour into the tub. There's a lot of ghetto fabulous tricks there. Like if you're a pro, what you learn to do is you can actually use blankets to section off certain areas of the house. And that's a good way to keep heat in. So think about it. If you don't have heat, but you have electric and you're on this little electric radiator, it's only doing 20, 30 cubic feet, right? So you have to section off your house, and you might all be sleeping in the living room. Make it fun. Sleepover party, right? Best believe it's going to be warm, but when you get outside of that cover and you got to walk your ass to the bathroom, it's going to be cold as fuck. But you make it out, and that's what builds character, right? Shout out to the hood. Shout out Chi-Town.
505, we slept inside the code. Had to learn to cook without the stove. Only thing that kept us hot was flows.
Woo, that hot fire, right? He's spitting that hot fire. That's what's keeping him warm. Just a wordplay there, right?
Slept inside the code. Had to learn to cook without the stove. Only thing that kept us hot was flows. All my day was A1 on the road. We never
day ones, right? Your day one A1s are the dudes you grew up with, your oldest friends, your closest friends, the ones that can look in your fridge and talk about how broke they are, right? Those are real friends. But they're day ones, A1s. They're honor roll because they're all A's, right? Sick.
This the life, see, this the life I chose. 505, we slept inside the code. Had to learn to cook without the stove. Only thing that kept us hot was flows. All my day was A1 on the road. We never fucking disrespected code. Todd, Rags, Austin, real lows. Went from scraping toast and now we toast.
Yeah, bro, that's another shout out to the hood. Who knows about scraping the toast, right? Moms will burn toast, but you're too poor to throw it out. So, boy, you better not throw out no food in this house. So what do? You take a knife and you like legit take the burnt off that motherfucker, right? You just scraping the burnt off, and before you know it, it's edible. It's a piece of toast. But he's also talking about he went from scraping toast to now we toast, like you do with your glass, right? A toast is offered when people share a drink that you normally raise their glasses. It's what they call a salutation, right? It's to whatever subject or event or whatever person you're talking about. So just excellent wordplay there.
How was flows. All my day was A1 on the road. We never fucking disrespected code. Todd, Rags, Austin, real lows. Went from scraping toast and now we toast. Pulling bitches bad as Amber Rose. The type of hoes they scared to be some hoes. They dropping 50 just to pack a show.
Ooh.
Now and I ain't talking rose. My Grammy told me.
Ooh, bro, the wordplay there, right? Pulling bitches bad as Amber Rose, he said. The type of hoes that scared to be a hoe, right? You just a hoe, bitch. Bitch that knows she's a hoe and knows her place. There's definitely a place in the world for a hoe ass bitch, right? But he said they dropping 50 just to pack a show. But he said we ballin' now. I ain't talking about Rose. They're referencing shout out Chicago. They're referencing Derrick Rose and his badass knees. But back at Halloween a few years ago, this was pre-pandemic. I believe it was Halloween, so it was October 31st. I want to say 2018, maybe 2019, but I think 2018. Derrick Rose actually dropped 50 points. That was his only 50-point game. I believe it still might be his only 50-point game. But shout out Chicago, and shout out that they know that stat too. Not a lot of cats do. I'm a information mofo that deals with a lot of IQ related weird knowledge, but not a lot of people get that. I love their references.
We ballin' now and I ain't talking rose. My Grammy told me don't you sell your soul, cause what's a Grammy when your soul is gold? My only cause this the fucking life that I chose.
Ooh, GOAT, right? Greatest of all time. But she said, what's a Grammy, right? When your soul is gold, right? It's a good way to put things in perspective.
Your soul is gold. My only goal is I'm a dying goat, cause this the fucking life that I chose. They offer pussy and power. They offer Gucci and fame.
Most rappers, right? I haven't got to the chorus yet, but he's saying they're off of pussy and power. They get off on that, right? They offer Gucci and fame. That's not what your everyday, that's not a smart choice, right? That's these mainstream ass copy and paste ass rappers that are out here in the game. Some of them are talking about labels that most of the people that enjoy their music will never have, right? It's like, why are you so, and some of that Gucci and Balenciaga looks dumb as fuck. But you want it, why? Because it's a status symbol, right? And people don't understand how corny that is until you get a little older in life. I'm just rocking a no-name polo or rocking a no-name t-shirt. I still got a badass wife. I got a badass truck. I got a nice-ass house, but I don't need a Gucci. I don't need to wear Gucci flip-flops to show it, right? That's childlike, right? When you're a grown-ass man, you move beyond that.
They offer pussy and power. They offer Gucci and fame. They think I'm new to this money. They think I'm new to this game. They wanna see us in whips. They wanna see us in chains. Legacy, legacy, legacy. They tryna ruin the name. Legacy, legacy, legacy. They tryna ruin the name. Legacy, legacy, legacy. They tryna ruin the name. They offer pussy and power. They offer Gucci and fame. Legacy, legacy, legacy. Make them remember the name. My family gon' have power like the Medicis. I feel like Francisco.
Ooh. Yo, just come right into it. I don't know, his flow sounds like somebody, let's say some Mobb Deep or something, but I remember it, but the way he came onto that flow was sick. But anyway, he's talking about the Medicis, the House of Medici. When you look into the most powerful families that over time have run our world from behind the scenes, the Medici family is right up there. He also says he feels like Francisco Vittori. But the Medici house, I think it's a little bit bigger than that. This family is so powerful that they have put 4 popes, 4, into the Catholic Church. And if you know anything about the respect, but the power that comes with being pope, you can kind of understand where they were in the world or their place. I mean, this is the one that in their own family they had alchemists. They were friends with the famous painter Michelangelo, right? I believe the House of Medici, I don't know if it was one of their cooks or a family member, but actually helped invent gelato, right? They were, in fact, the wealthiest family of the 15th century. That's the House of Medici. I'm talking about banking, just a lot of influence, a lot of changes that they put into the world are still in effect today, and you might not even realize it. But when you talk about he referenced Francisco Vittori. That's like I think he's considered the father of international law. I know he did a lot of work. I'm not really as familiar with him, but I know he did a lot of work with Native Americans. But that's who he's referencing there. Sick intellectual references. I love how he comes in.
Make them remember the name. My family gon' have power like the Medicis. I feel like Francisco Vittori. Diplomatic since the attic, writing bars better than your protect. Boy, they gon'
He's referencing the watch, right? That's a Patek, the watch. He said, it's gonna shine brighter than your Patek. It's a Swiss luxury brand. They manufacture clocks as well, but I believe he's referring to their luxury watches. But I also like how he said diplomatic since the attic, maybe since the beginning. But diplomatic, when he also referenced Francisco Vittori, again, modern international law, right? And being diplomatic, so the wordplay there is just next level.
Diplomatic since the attic, writing bars better than your protect. Boy, they gon' Hall of Fame me for my story. Critics turning into crickets, cause I'm just too big for any cat.
Turn into crickets. When you hear crickets, you're not hearing anything, right? So the critics are turning into crickets. That's referencing they don't got shit to say anymore.
And I planned it since a little boy. Bitch, my flow different from a coca leaf. They ain't seen a nigga come from overseas. I ain't talking Chanel, but it's luxury.
Ooh.
Down in Colombia, they don't see my legacy.
Yeah, down in Colombia, and then in Spanish, he said where I was born.
Really the recipe. Mixing cultures, now they can't ignore it. Funny fake niggas saying.
Just good wordplay, right? Talking about the drip from the cocoa leaf overseas, referencing Colombia, where he was born. But he also said something about recipe, and then he's talked about mixing. Obviously, the wordplay on that is if you're cooking, right?
My legacy really the recipe. Mixing cultures, now they can't ignore it. Funny fake niggas saying that they saw it when I posted it. Wasn't gone, now they bitch trying to come with me on tour.
Yeah.
Mixing my sins with the weed just to level out. Found me a better route, cause rapping about nothing to sing about. Yeah, got this shit tatted in ink and blood. Coach got your nigga, my clique is up. From birds on the curve, now we flying with doves. What's up?
Ooh. Flying with doves. Doves can really be represent or very symbolic as well. But I get what he's saying just in general, from birds on the curve, right, to flying with doves. He's just changing. It's like the opposite and showing how he's come up, right?
Running to us and jump back on the patio. Rapping like just finna call me a Porsche. Oh, that's your bitch, I let that on the patio.
Bro, their references are so intellectual. Like, who the hell knows about Ray Dalio, right? Now, this guy's he's an influencer, but he's more of an investor. But he wrote a book. I believe that's the name of his book. They said, God, what do you say? God with principles, as thick as Ray Dalio, or somewhere along those lines. But Ray Dalio He's written what they call, which is, I think on the book, it's a guided journal. The principles, that's what it is. It's principles. It's like successfully dealing with reality to really extract what you want out of life, right? It's almost like the book The Secret. I don't know if a lot of you guys have read that. Man, again, it's a lost art. There's so much knowledge, right? I'm always having conversations with people and they bring up some reference and I'm like, oh, are you talking about blah, blah, X, Y, Z? And they're like, bro, how do you know that? When do you know the date? I'm like, man, because dude said this and they referenced this in this movie. And they're like, what? Man, it helps to read, not just a book, like a physical book, but read articles online, get into different inventions and blogs. And there's so much information there that can really help get you along in life. But there's a lot of books like The Secret or like God with Principles that help you lead your life in a way that is very positive, right? Like I read a book once, or this was an article about people that live their life like they're playing a video game, and how successful they can be by trying to collect all the coins and how to get to the next level, but they're treating their life like a game. And it's just so crazy that when you live your life that way, how successful you might be.
Like the back of a 70 nigga who been in with daddy, yo. It's the reason my oh, that's your bitch, I let that on the patio. Facts. All my niggas endorsed, of course, by God with principles, thick as Regalio. When I rap, got a snap like the back of a 70 nigga who been in with daddy, yo.
Ooh, he said, when I rap, I got a snap like the back of a 70 nigga whose pimp name was Daddy-O. God damn, right? Daddy-O was a saying like, what's the flow, Daddy-O? Right? It was something that was more the 50s and 60s, which would make sense because he's talking about people that are 70. But it was like hipsters kind of in the day. It was a term of endearment, if you would. But it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a saying of the day, if you would. But he said he raps, he got a snap like the back of a 70 nigga whose pimp name was Daddy-O because he was blowing out backs, laying out these chicks, right? Come on now. He's a pimp daddy, woo woo.
When I rap, got a snap like the back of a 70 nigga who been in with Daddy-O. It's the reason my shit slap. We just made a new hit back. Now you niggas equipped for the mismatch.
Yo, he just played off the pimp, right? He said it's a reason my shit slap. Put some baby powder on my hand. Right? He's talking about a pimp slap, right? He said, we made a new hit. You ain't hit back, right? Made a hit. Obviously musical, but a hit like playing off slap stuff.
It's the reason my shit slap. We just made a new hit, you ain't hit back. Now you niggas equipped for the mismatch. Gotta know what the flow, I can switch that. Then finesse you niggas, I'm bout mine. Though my watch was broken, it's bout time. Had to slide from the west to the south side. Nigga back in the tech from the outside with my niggas, cause they off for pussy and power.
Woo! Shit! I don't think I've ever heard their flow like this.
They wanna see us in whips. They wanna see us in chains.
Beat drop, legacy, come on, legacy, beat drop.
They tryna ruin the name. Legacy, legacy, legacy. They
Woo! Legacy, loving it. Legacy, you got another verse or they done?
They off for pussy and
power. They're done.
They off for Gucci and fame. Legacy, legacy, legacy. Make them remember the name.
Yo, I'm loving it, man. We've been diving into Coast Contra. If you guys are fans of Coast Contra, man, show some love, like the video, but also subscribe to the channel. We find artists like Coast Contra that have this wordplay and they're just lyrically dense. And we just break it down bar by bar and really understand the context of what they're saying. If you guys are fans, show some love and let's get it on the next video.